All right. Well then, just give me a trooper and we'll get started.
You'll take my life, but I'll take.
Give you a trooper. Is this like some Kjol theory thing? I give you a hamburger.
You give me one trooper and I'll give you a fear of the dark.
Okay. So I can't believe we missed this happening. We even made the joke months ago. Forever ago. When was that? When did we do the other two Iron Maiden singers?
Like March or April.
It was like early this year, yeah. So there were new albums by Blaze Bayley and Bruce Dickinson, and we jokingly said it would be great if the original Iron Maiden vocalist, Paul Di'Anno, also released an album. And he did in like July, and we completely missed it.
Well, the thing is, we knew it was coming in like June. We heard the first couple singles.
But then I saw nothing else. It happened right around us, completely missed it. So we're late, and I feel really bad.
I do too, but also, there's a lot of things that came up, Jeff. There were important things that needed to be tackled,
I mean, there were other things that we did. I don't really know if I'd say anything was like super important.
Very important. We had to help Linkin Park find a new singer. We had to help Dave Grohl's wife crack the case. It was busy.
Okay, so are we...
Jeff, I gotta tell you something. Paul Di'Anno, I don't think is a man who keeps his best interests at heart. He got kicked out of Maiden for doing too many drugs. He insults his own audience. And now his whole thing is a Warhorse, and he wants to stop the war.
Oh my god, I didn't even catch that.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Jeff, and welcome to the Sound Judgement podcast.
Where every episode, we'll be discussing all of the important musical topics, from reviews to which member of Motley Crue is the most vile.
I'm gonna judge the officials. I'm gonna judge all the judges. It's gonna take you people years to recover from all my opinions. Anyway, we're talking about the new group by Paul Di'Anno, original Iron Maiden vocalist Paul Di'Anno. He has a group now called Paul Di'Anno's Warhorse.
Featuring,
okay, hold on. Featuring a Croatian guitar duo. And their names, let me tell you, 2 hours of searching to find somebody saying their names out loud. I finally found an interview on, I don't know if you're familiar with Metal Pilgrim. It's a YouTube channel and website. And it's a guy who does a lot of interviews. He's Ukrainian. So he already has an accent that is adding more complications to hearing this. So he has a Ukrainian accent saying these Croatian names. So I couldn't quite catch if he was the way he was saying them. And then every time Paul said the names in this interview, he's half laughing. So I think, to the best of my abilities here, their names are Yahweh and, yes, Poopy. It is short for Pupasic. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I've never heard it said. Literally everyone just calls him Poopy. P-U-P-I. So yes, they are Yahweh, which is, again, I'm going to just spell this out here. It's H-R-V-O-J-E.
Is that the first name of this Matarika fellow that I'm seeing on the actual album cover? Because it says with Mataraka and Poopy.
Oh, see, so everyone, from what I'm hearing, they all call him in this interview. They're pronouncing it, I think, as close as I can get is probably Yahweh. It sounded almost like Henry, but with an accent. Yahweh, something like that. Anyway, it's Yahweh and Poopy, who also, from what I understand, are a big part of the writing process. They talked a little bit about the writing process of them sending things back and forth, and here's a track, and then Paul would write lyrics to it, whatever.
I was gonna say, because I don't think Paul himself is much of a musician. I think he mostly just writes lyrics and songs and melodies and stuff like that.
Yes,
but I don't think
that is my understanding.
Yeah, I don't think he's much for the technicalities of the guitar and bass and drums.
No. So we've got Paul Di'Anno's Warhorse with Henry and Poopy. Let's get the elephant in the room out of the way first, right? Paul has been less than stellar for quite a while.
What?
Is that fair to say?
I would say so.
In fact, we've probably even talked about him at some point before. There are countless
If we haven't talked about Charlie the Harley, then we've messed up.
There are countless videos of him performing live. I assume he's usually under the influence of something in a lot of these videos, especially some of the earlier ones where he's just like completely unintelligible. Of course, there's the famous recording of Charlotte the Harlot, which has been even like subtitled many times, trying to figure out what the hell he's saying, and a lot of it really just ends up as like gibberish, right? So Charlie the Harlot, it's not great. And then of course he has numerous health issues. He has been wheelchair bound for like almost a decade now, I want to say.
I don't know if it's quite that long, but it's been a while.
It's been quite a few years, yeah.
I don't know. Time stopped moving the same way a few years ago.
Yeah, I guess that's true too. In my head, it's been almost 10 years, maybe. I don't know if I have that right. Yeah, so he's not great. In even more recent live performances, he just kind of always sounds out of breath and forced. It's just not. It's not great, and I think we've mentioned this before, that on one hand, I feel very bad. On the other hand, he's apparently also a huge, not pleasant person in many ways.
He's not always the nicest fellow.
Yeah, so I'm a little torn. I don't really wish physical ailment on anybody, but get that out of the way. We are well aware this man is probably not doing anything great live. But we're not here to talk about live. We're here to talk about a studio album.
That's right. We're going to talk about this Fight Pony.
Yeah, Fight Pony. Battle Horse.
Horse.
What's it called? Warhorse.
Warhorse.
Warhorse. So I'm mixing up my joke name of Battle Pony with the actual name. Yeah, Battle Pony. Pauly D's Battle Pony.
And it starts with the title track, Battle Pony.
It sure does start with a track called Warhorse. Now, that being said, I don't have a whole lot to say about every individual track. In fact, I have almost nothing to say about every individual track. In fact, I don't have a whole lot to say at all. This is, by definition, one of the most unremarkable things I've ever listened to. And by that, I mean, it's not insultingly bad. I enjoyed listening to it. Don't get me wrong. It's fine. It's kind of a fun time, actually. But almost nothing stands out in almost any way, except for a handful of notes I have, which I'll get to. You sound like you're trying to say something. What's up?
Well, I was going to say that's how I felt about the Blaze record.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
I think at the very least, the opening track plays to Paul's strengths. He doesn't have the voice he had in the early days, but he's got that gritty voice that I think works well enough for that opening track. He does all of the things that he should do with the limited range he has left.
Yes. He actually sounds, for the music they're doing, he sounds pretty good on this album.
On that, I'll say on that track, because I gotta say, once Get Ready started, I got less ready. That made me far less ready.
The next track is in fact called Get Ready, which is one of the big things here. Again, going back to my unremarkable here, is the lyrics across the whole album are just that. So I don't know how else to say this. I know a lot of people are much more forgiving here than I am. This realm of just like traditional heavy metal or things more surrounding it, the lyrics are so undescriptive, right? Like, my favorite heavy metal bands are the ones that write songs that tell stories. They create characters, right?
Oh, you mean like Iron Maiden a few years later?
Yeah. I mean, Iron Maiden did it very well quite a few times. Judas Priest did it very well very frequently, right? Beyond the Realms of Death is telling the story of a character.
Right.
Ozzy Osbourne was somehow was a genius at this, just creating these fictional characters and telling their short stories. Mm-hmm. They don't need to be brilliant, work of art pieces of poetry.
Yeah.
But the lyrics need to mean something that sticks out to me. There is not a single lyric on this album that I have any actual memory of. It is just that super generic, this is just filler space for the singer to sing. And when your singer isn't a phenomenal singer, I don't think that works. Right? I can forgive it in more extreme metal when the vocals are really just like a texture being layered in and they really don't matter all that much. Like when we talked about like Horrendous. Or I can forgive it a little more when the vocalist is just so otherworldly incredible that I could listen to them sing literally anything and I'd be happy.
Yeah.
This is none of those things. This is Paul sounds pretty good for like a punky traditional heavy metal kind of thing. He sounds pretty okay. He's got a nice grit and gravel to his voice in the studio at least. But the lyrics mean nothing to me. Not a single one.
I don't think I have one note on the lyrics.
No, as you shouldn't, because other than them being unremarkable, there's nothing to say. I take it back. I do have a note on the lyrics. I have one note on the lyrics.
Okay.
And it's not even lyrics they wrote.
Oh.
Can we talk about the cover that they decided to do?
Which one?
Oh, there are. Okay, never mind. The one I'm thinking of. See, okay.
Tequila!
About halfway through the album, they have a track called Stop the War, which, otherwise unremarkable, but is a call to, end the war in the Ukraine, Russia, that region, right? Stop the war.
Stop the war.
And then just a few tracks later, they decided to do the tackiest, shittiest thing ever, which is cover Tequila. It is just so overwhelmingly tasteless to me. To me, this is a song that you cover, you call it a bonus track, you throw it at the end of the album, haha, it's funny, and there's a lot of impressive guitar work.
Yeah.
But, like, throwing this in the middle of an album that otherwise is trying to feel serious? Like, it's right before the big ballad called Forever Bound. And it's not long after Stop the War. It's just... Who thought of this? I know I'm not normally one to worry about track order on an album, but dear God. It's tacky.
It's a weird inclusion. It is, like you said, tacky. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. I don't think Tequila's a great song to begin with, so.
It's kind of a dumb song anyway, but I realize I don't think it was ever trying to be anything super profound. It's just,
I understand that, but it's one of those things where I feel like we've covered it. We don't need to do another cover of Tequila. No one needs to. Unless you've got a really fucking interesting idea of what to do with Tequila, just let it go.
No one needed more of Tequila.
No. You have too much tequila, you get violent. That's what they tell me. I'm not a tequila guy.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I wouldn't really know either.
I think Stop the War almost works until he tries to bring it down into a ballad, which is a thing I don't think the song needed.
I think Stop the War was a fine song, because I think most of the songs were fine songs. Like, that's sort of my problem, is the fact that it is unremarkable.
I just want this old dude to be rocking. I don't know if he can sing
and you
a
know
ballad
what?
with that voice.
He
does a lot of rocking.
He does a lot of rocking. And again, like, we know, we've seen live footage. We have an idea here.
Yeah.
He's not doing it well live, but I think for a man in his mid-60s on the album, he sounds pretty fine for what he does. He has his strengths, which is this big, guttural growl singing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess despite the fact I said I could say the same thing about Doubt Within, I kind of like that one better. It almost has like the Unforgiven philosophy of like hard verse, soft chorus, except Unforgiven did it way, 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 way better.
Okay, I can take that.
Did I say seven ways? Because I have a note to say 7 ways.
Why do you say 7?
I just want it to be way, 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 way better.
Okay, I don't remember how many times you said it the first time, so
right.
we're just gonna. You can edit that. That's fine.
Look, aside from that, honestly, Forever Bound is probably the song I like the most, aside from the opening track, and I don't really care for the Depeche Mode cover. But why is it one of the best vocal performances on the album?
I mean, again, it's he doesn't sound bad at all.
No, but
in the studio.
Why does he sound the best on the Depeche Mode cover?
Maybe because they're not his lyrics and it actually has some semblance of a point.
Okay, that's fair.
Is that Is that fair to say?
Sure, that's fair.
Okay, because it's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say that that's the reason.
All right.
Chris, Warhorse was fine.
Warhorse was fine.
And I'm sorry that we took 3 months to get to it. No, 2 months. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm going to say the Bruce album is probably the only one I'll actually go back to with any regularity. If I'm gonna try to define them in any way, the Blaze album was really good at being perfectly fine the whole way through, if a little corny sometimes with its upbeat lyrics. And I would say that maybe Paul Di'Anno's album has marginally higher highs and maybe significantly lower lows than the Blaze album.
You know what? I will accept that. I will accept that. My ranking, I don't actually think will be the same, because I don't think my ranking was the same in the first place.
Yeah.
I had a lot more fun with the Blaze album.
Okay.
Despite the corniness, I had more fun with the Blaze album. Bruce's album is, I would say, the best on every technical level possible. Right? Compositionally, the songwriting, the vocal performance, everything about it is better.
Yeah.
But I'm not a huge fan of his personal style. He's one of those examples, and I've said this about things before. He's one of those examples where I realize he set the stage, and I just think other people did his thing better. And because I heard other people do that thing, that's just what I want more of, right?
Right.
I'm not in love with his style, but it is, you know, I think on all technicalities, it is a better album.
Well, I can, at the very least, I can answer your question from the original episode if you still want me to, which is, what the fuck is the story on this album?
Oh, do you have an answer for that?
Yes. So actually, this is going to make things worse, probably.
Oh, yep. You probably, all right.
This will probably make things worse.
Put this in the bottom tier.
No, I don't think it's that bad. Okay, so the album's called The Mandrake Project, and there's a kind of coinciding comic called The Mandrake Project.
Oh, I hate it already.
No, and the comic tells the story itself, and the Mandrake Project album just has some songs that relate to the comic, but the album as a whole doesn't tell a story. It's the name of the album, it's the theme of a couple songs on it, and the rest are just songs that he wrote.
Oh, okay. So it's not like a full concept
It's
album.
not a full concept story front to back album. It's
Okay.
Think of it this way, certain songs are snapshots of things that happen in the comic.
Okay, this isn't a
Rain on the
Cambria
Graves
thing.
is two characters in the comic meeting, but you don't really need to know that to listen to the song.
Okay, that is okay. You know what? That's I can accept that. I'm okay with that.
Whereas the second song on the album, I forget the name of it right now, is not at all related to the comic. It's about a vampire who is tired of being eternal. He is bored. It's about a bored vampire.
All right. Well, that's great. I'm glad we got that covered up months late, too.
Everything we're doing is months late.
I was going to say everything we're doing is late. But you know what, Chris?
What?
None of what we're doing is as late as the release of the next album.